What's up, guys? I'm making a video today on why do we make trading mistakes. This is a really important topic. I think that a lot of trading psychology coaches or people in this field offer advice quite often, such as be more disciplined, don't give in to FOMO, follow your rules. That's all you need to do. And that doesn't work. And we know it doesn't work. And I'm going to explain today why. Because when you understand what causes you to make a mistake, it's a lot easier to then go and resolve that issue. Before I jump in, I do want to mention that I was recently on a podcast hosted by Laserwolf. It's on his channel. I've put the link to the podcast down below. It's probably the most amount of value that I've given away. It is over about an hour. There's a lot of value in there on how you can improve your performance. And you can also get a 25% discount on coaching with me if you'd like to work with me. Then definitely check it out to get that discount. And I'm also offering a 30-minute free call, which I talk about in there. So if you want to learn more about my coaching, some of the other things I talk about with performance, check that out. But for now, let's jump into this. So to start off with, I'm going to use a concept from the Chimp Paradox, which is my favorite psychology book. It's a really cool kind of concept that I think helps to understand this kind of thing really well. I simplified it, but I think it's fine for this. Don't need to go too much into detail. Essentially, there are three parts of the brain. You've got the computer, the chimp, and the human. Now, the computer is the quickest, and it holds long-term taught beliefs, which come out as automatic responses. You then have the chimp, which is your emotional center. It's the strongest when in control. It comes across as childlike, and it's pretty much impossible to reason with when it has control. And then you have the human part of your brain, which is your logic center. This is where you think things through and new information is stored. And this is kind of already touching on why those ideas of just don't give in to FOMO don't work, because that's a human thought, and if the chimp is in control, you don't have access to that. If you've just learned a new rule and you're going, okay, I'm only going to take this size from now on, or I'm only going to apply this rule, and the chimp takes control, you don't have access to it. Now, the first step for a mistake, and go through what a mistake kind of looks like, is there's an outside trigger. And this is often an event in your trading environment. It doesn't have to be your trading environment. It could also be things like you haven't eaten so far today, or you've already eaten too much and you're feeling sluggish. But something has essentially happened that will trigger the computer to kick into life. And some good examples of this could be taking a loss, stopping out just before a trade turns in your favor, missing a trade, maybe a big move happening that you weren't prepared for, all of these kind of things. And what your brain does is it will see this event and automatically go to computer to understand what our learned response should be. Now, outside of trading, this is really important because we store a lot of information in here that means we don't have to think. It's simply a case of, I see that, I'm going to go and do it. But the computer's response is critical in how you then react to that event. We're going to see why. And the reason for that is the second step is who responds. When the computer's response is driven, or the computer's response is going to be driven either by emotional underlying thoughts or logical underlying thoughts. An emotional thought is going to be something like, I should have taken that trade. Why did I not take that trade? I should be up this amount of money. That evokes a lot of emotion. Whereas a logical thought might be, okay, I didn't take that trade, but that's fine because I had reasons not to and I didn't want to make a mistake, which is a good thing. I'm now going to wait for another situation that's similar to that. It doesn't invoke as much emotion. It's much more, it's more sensibly driven, right? Now, if the thought is logical, then the human side of the brain will take control and it will process that information and continue on its way. Whereas if the thought is emotional, then the chimp side of the brain is going to take control. It's going to take that information and it's going to use it and it's going to start kind of waking itself up more and more. And you're going to get to a point pretty quickly where your chimp takes control. And this is the thing, this happens very quickly. This is not something that, takes 5-10 minutes. This happens within seconds. So the third step is the appropriate response. Now, which side's in control will work with the computer part of your brain to come up with the appropriate response to the event. And the problem when you have a mistake is if the chimp is in control, this response is going to be driven by emotion. You're going to begin saying things to yourself such as, this is going to go without me, I need to take the trade even though no, it isn't my strategy because I need to make the money. I can't believe I just took a loss, it went straight back in my direction, I need to get that money back. These are emotional thoughts, and they are essentially going to start making you want to take a trade more and more. And then the big issue is, as the chimp reinforces the computer's initial response, it actually strengthens the underlying belief, making it quicker and easier to react the same next time. And this is crucial because what you will find is that the chimp is pretty tricky. It likes to be in control. And when it works with the computer and it inputs more information into the computer, it's going to find it much easier to take control next time. It becomes a bit of a scary loop, if I'm being honest. Now, step 4 is making the mistake. And what you'll find is, as your chimp and computer work together, your emotion is going to rise more and more, giving your chimp more control. And as we mentioned, when your chimp is in control, it's not a good thing. Once your chimp hits about a 5 out of 10 emotion, you will almost inevitably make a mistake. And this is something I do with my clients. We track what their emotion looks like. We go, okay, what does it look like at a 1 out of 10, a 2 out of 10, a 3 out of 10, all the way through. You can't always distinguish the difference between a 3 and a 2 or a 4 and a 3. But I like to make 5 that point where this is where you make a mistake. And anything beyond there, well, it gets worse, because as your chimp continues to build control and that emotion grows, the mistakes can become significantly bigger, and it actually becomes harder for you to intervene. And I see this quite often in traders, especially with things like revenge trading, where take a loss and they want to have that, they want to make it back, so they revenge trade once. If that doesn't work, they revenge trade bigger size. If that doesn't work, they go bigger side, they hold on to a loser, they add to a loser, and it blows up. Your chimp has taken more and more control, it's become more and more emotional, and those mistakes become bigger because your human has less control, and in that moment, they make more logical sense because your chimp is the one running the show. So why does this happen? As you can see, and probably remember if you think back over the last few days of the trades you've taken that you saw as mistakes, it becomes almost impossible for you to not make the mistake once you reach that certain emotional threshold. Now, the reason for this is emotion, that should be emotion, but whatever. Emotion originally comes from an instinct to survive. So it has to be stronger than your logical thoughts. The chimp part of your brain is designed to help you run away from danger, or fight danger, or hide from danger. So therefore, it has to be strong. It has to be able to override your human thought process, because you see something dangerous, a lion's coming at you, the computer's going to go, this could kill me, we need to run. And the chimp goes, that's me, let's run. If it was a logical response of, oh, I wonder why this lion is out, I wonder if it's going to come towards me, what could I do to prevent it coming towards me, you're already dead because it's eaten you. So it's very much a part of our brain that we needed. We don't need it for trading though. If you were facing a life or death situation, you don't want to stop to think. And quite often this emotion looks like fear, because again, that is what the emotion was originally designed for. So okay, we now know why we make the mistakes. How can we begin avoiding it? The first thing you need to do is understand this pattern. And you need to understand your pattern. It's crucial in order to make improvements. And remember, the outcome, which is your mistake, is not responding to the event. It's not responding to the move. It's responding to the computer's initial answer. And this is why when they say just don't give in to FOMO, yes, it's moving higher, don't give into it. You're not reacting. The FOMO isn't a reaction to, oh, it's moving higher. It's a reaction to, it moved higher and my brain said this. So because of that, the only true way to resolve an issue is to rewire your computer. Because trying to control your chimp, just don't take bad trades, don't give in to FOMO, cannot work. It physically can't. If you try, it might work 1 out of 10 times, but the other 9 times are going to be a pretty big disaster. How do you rewire the computer? So your underlying beliefs, they're not going to be easy to overwrite. I've had clients that we get down to that deep underlying thought, and it came from their time at school where they took all of their value from being right and being at the top of the class. And therefore, they saw being right is good because I get good grades. If I take a loss, I'm wrong, and I can't accept that, and then the chimp comes in. So you need to, as a result, you need to really figure out the deepest reason, and then you can try to change it. And like I said, this isn't easy. The first thing you should do is shine a light into why that thought process is so toxic for your trading. And what I often find with clients is when we do this and we find that like deep piece of information that they use to drive their decisions, it's quite an embarrassing feeling. And when you feel that, oh, I don't feel like that really, do I? That is when you know you found your underlying belief that is causing you so much pain. Shine a light on it, and then once you understand why it's so bad, come up with a better logical belief that will benefit your trading. And now remember, the emotion is not the problem, so it shouldn't be a case of saying I shouldn't get angry because of this, or I shouldn't take these trades because of this. You need to target that thought process. I shouldn't think like that because of this, and as a result, I want to think like this. I like to also use language that actually encourages your chimp. So it kind of encourages emotion, but in other ways. So instead of saying, I need to make money, or you know, this is a setup, this is kind of my setup, so I'm going to take it because I think it can work out. I like to use language such as, I want to be the best trader in my niche, and to do that, I need to only take the A+ setups. I know what an A+ setup is. I'm going to be the best, but if I only take those. It invokes emotion, which is stronger than your human, which then makes it easier for you to then avoid those trades. Now, is that it? No. And I actually had a discussion on Twitter last night with somebody who said who was asking how I fixed a trader, and the reality is you're never going to be fixed. You have your new positive logic that's going to help. Now you need to practice implementing it regularly under differing levels of emotion. You need to be able to go into the market, and when you catch yourself at a 2 or 3 out of 10 emotion, you need to implement that new piece of logic so that you're training yourself again and again that is your new automatic response. Train yourself to recognize the computer's event trigger and be prepared to override it before the chimp has a chance to take over. So if you know your trigger is, hey, I've just taken a loss that I feel like I shouldn't have done, when you see that, have your piece of logic ready. Have it so that either targets the chimp or the human, and read it out, believe it. Make it your new automatic response. Train your computer to, when it sees that trigger, think of your new response. You are going to make mistakes still. You will make them. The goal is just to keep implementing this plan, and even when you make the mistake, you get to understand why you weren't able to implement it. It's a constant journey of improvement. Figure out, okay, at a 3 out of 10 it works, at a 4 out of 10 emotion, this piece of logic doesn't work, it needs to be stronger. So some final thoughts. Your chimp is tricky and powerful. Don't try to fight it and expect it to take control. Just because it takes control isn't necessarily a bad thing in the beginning, because it's still going to take control, but recognizing it and having some sort of fail-safe is important. Don't be too down on yourself if it doesn't work immediately. This rarely does. It's going to take you time. They say that you need to put about 20 hours into something to be good enough to enjoy it. So realistically, you've got to put in 20 hours of implementing this thought process before it becomes automatic. Maybe it's 10, but you need to put in quite a long time. And that isn't 10 hours of trading. That isn't 20 hours of trading. That's, if each incident takes 5-10 minutes, it might be that it needs to be 100, 200 incidences where you practice it before it becomes automatic. A great tool to help this is to keep track of what your chimp looks like. What does it begin to do to convince you to take bad trades? How does it feel? How do you change physically? If you know what your chimp looks like, you can catch it early on and then begin to take back control, implement your positive piece of logic into the computer and calm your chimp down. If you don't do this, then at some point it's going to be at a 5 out of 10, you're going to try and implement your logic and it won't work because it's already taken too much control. So I hope you found this video helpful and useful. Like I said, check out the podcast in the description. And I'm going to be posting hopefully more videos like this over the coming weeks. I've got a few more concepts that I really want to talk about. Keep improving, keep focusing on how you can improve your performance, and I'll see you again in the next video.